dating someone who has never been married. Never been married is this huge red flag where,
Yeah.
you can be divorced 8 times and that's somehow
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning into Second Act TV. Once again, I'm welcoming back Treva Brandon Scharf, the dating coach, relationship expert, the author of Done Being Single. Treva, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you for having me. Love it.
Well, talking about done being single, today's topic is that this is your topic, and that
Hmm.
is dating someone who has never been married and what you need to know. We come across this so much where for some reason never been married after 50 is this huge red flag, or is
Yeah.
it, where
Yeah.
you can be divorced 8 times and that's somehow
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you think? Good
Yeah.
topic.
Great topic. One that I can speak on. Okay. Yes, I know it very, very well, like the back of my hand.
Well, maybe perhaps we should say, if we have viewers who maybe don't know you, maybe they tune in for the first time. Your book, Done Being Single, is about your journey. You didn't get married until after 50, as well as your husband, Robbie. You guys
Right.
met after 50, which makes the story so special. So not only can you talk about this, from a professional standpoint, but you lived it. You lived it. You were
Oh, yeah.
single, what that was like, and what are the concerns? Should there be concerns about dating you?
Yes. Okay. So, I think more than concerns, it should be curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So be curious, not concerned,
Mm-hmm.
because that is an automatic judgment that it it it's unfair. It's unfair to do that to someone. You don't know their story. Give them a chance to tell them what happened and then observe after that if you continue to date them. I mean, I can't tell you, first of all, you're going to be asked this question. Everybody's going to, regardless of your past history or status, why are you single? Or in my case, it was, why is a girl like you single? Okay.
That's a horrible
So
question.
I got that all the time, but I don't blame them. I would probably ask the same question to someone, and I did. I asked Robbie, why are you single? Why are you single? What's taking you so long? And I had all of these imaginary things in my mind. Well, he's probably a bad boyfriend, and he's a player, and he's can't settle down, and he's commitment phobic, and maybe yes, a little of all of that, but okay, he was ready when he was ready. Same for me. I was not ready until I was ready.
Well, here's the first question. Is dating somebody who's never been married really that different from dating somebody who's divorced or widowed?
Oh, wow. It comes with its own set of concerns, I would guess. I mean, one could say you're divorced. What the hell happened? You couldn't make it last. You weren't a good partner. I mean, you can make all kinds of judgments, right? You've been divorced how many times? I mean, goes both ways. For a never been married person, same questions. Like what's wrong with you? You couldn't make it last. You were a bad partner. There's judgment. Everybody judges. I did, and I know that people judged me as well. It's normal. People do it all the time. That's it. Bottom
Yeah,
line.
it's really not, they say that here too. It's not about past status, it's about current mindset. And that makes a lot of sense. The issues that are pointed out here is that how emotionally available is someone now who's never been married? Are they open to merging lives or stuck in a routine? And are they someone who perhaps avoids intimacy versus being intentional and discerning with who they might settle with?
Yes, but you could make the same argument for people who are divorced.
Mm-hmm.
They can be just as emotionally unavailable. They can be just as afraid to get back in, afraid of failing again. I mean, fear is the root cause of a lot of stuff. Fear, distrust, and I've said it all along that, the fear of getting hurt is a
Mm-hmm.
huge motivator to for everything in life, I guess. But back to my point about, you're going to get asked. You should probably have kind of a story ready, or a reason or an explanation, because it's going to come up over and over again as to what happened, and or what is taking so long, or I mean, right? And that's okay
Right.
to, and by the way, you 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 should ask. You should ask those questions.
Yeah. You say about the questions, that's another point they bring up here is that what should singles over 50, or what should you ask somebody over 50 who's single if you want to know whether or not their relationship ready? Like one of the things here, have you ever been in a long-term relationship? Is that a good question?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Sure.
What's your experience with serious relationships? What made you choose not to marry? What does an ideal relationship look like for you now? What would you ask that's not, that you would say is not rude or maybe inappropriate when you first meet someone?
Any question that starts off with why. So
Okay.
what I like about those questions is that it frames it in a way it doesn't put someone on the defensive. It doesn't ask you to come up with immediate explanations, and you may not have them. Okay. And it might be delicate too. So you don't want to put someone on the defensive. Be careful about doing that. And I think those why questions can be a little
Mm-hmm.
hard, because I mean, the truth is, if we knew why anything,
Why do you think
right?
that's a great point? The why, avoid the why questions.
Yeah,
Great
your
point.
chances are the person across from you doesn't really know why.
Here's something else. Are there benefits to dating someone who's never been married, or what are the benefits?
Oh, that baggage word, just
Mm-hmm.
I guess I hate to use it in a negative sense, because, well, I don't know, maybe exes are good. Maybe having had that experience was very helpful, that you were married. Or maybe it's great that you avoided it. You avoided a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really know. We just have to
Mm-hmm.
sort of accept each other at face value, and you said it, for who you are right now in time,
Mm-hmm.
not who you were back then. And let's hope that you are doing the work, and that you are taking care of yourself and healing whatever was broken. And just because you've been single forever or never married does not make you damaged goods or broken, or it's just you march to the beat of that drummer. That is something I said a lot.
So here's something I want to ask you, Treva. You know, you and Robbie both were single when you met and then joined up, and now you're married, been married for, I don't know, 12 years or something like that. And but here's another situation. What if somebody who has been married 25, 30 years is either, widowed or divorced, now dating someone who has never been married? What kind of issues or what kind of concerns, if you want to use that word, might there be that
Okay.
are worthy to dig into?
I would be interested in their attachment style, because it might be that they just have really avoidant attachment style. If
Mm-hmm.
you all know what attachment theory is,
Yeah,
and
we'll
that
we'll
that
link to it.
that was mind blowing when I learned about attachment theory,
Yep.
because there's secure, there's anxious, and there's
Mm-hmm.
avoidant.
Yep.
And what's interesting is that I'm a little of all three.
Mm-hmm.
So I could kind of relate, and I could see it coming. I could see a fellow avoidant coming a million miles away, which didn't work with me, because I tended to be a little bit more anxiously attached, which is the worst thing you could give an anxious person, is an avoidant person. So yeah, you know what? It's worth asking some questions. So maybe there's some fear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some trauma in the past. Maybe there is like, oh, no, no, I'm not getting that close. There's a little intimacy fear or commitment fear. I got hurt. The more you talk and the more that person opens up, you're going to figure out, well, this is why he's been single all of these years, or this is why she's not married. It's kind of an interesting, probing journey to go on with someone. And this is what makes dating sort of interesting, because it's just, it may not lead to a second date, but you get to know people's stories, which I always found kind of interesting, and never a waste of time.
Yeah. I think the biggest concern that I would have, and I personally, my background for those that don't, I was married for 25 years. So I was definitely, I'm used to being in a relationship and I wanted that again. My concern would be, and actually it kind of was with Paul because he had been divorced for 12 years. So he was used to the single life.
Yeah.
And it's merging those two mentalities that, are you giving up something, or does the single person who's been single forever, is that difficult for either him or her to all of a sudden share a life with someone?
Yes. Yes. Well, yes. I mean, regardless if
Mhm.
you've never been married or whatever, whatever situation you just came out of, getting together later in life, it has
Yeah.
its challenges, people, because you're fully formed.
Mhm.
You're a fully formed human. You have your habits, your ways, your style, right? Your systems. I say it all the time. Sometimes it's like different operating systems, and sometimes they're not compatible,
Mhm.
and you have to work at it. And that's the tough part about getting together later. It's not like you're young and you can mold each other, right?
Mhm.
And no, we came into this with our own deal. Okay. So, which is great. And also it's great. I think the bottom line is that we shouldn't judge.
Mhm.
We can be curious. We can have, well, I guess, some concerns, but and you can get your answers. You can get your questions answered. It may take a little while, but everybody has their own story.
Here's another good point: is that one of some of the things to watch for, when dating someone who's never been married, as you say, to kind of probe, get a little deeper into this, but emotional flexibility, which we've mentioned, that are they set in their ways or open to change? Relationship experience, have they had serious relationships? But here's one that we haven't talked about: expectations. Are they idealizing romance because they haven't experienced the hard parts of partnership? Is that a good question? Is that a fair question, or thought?
I think it's great stuff to talk about. It's just interesting stuff about somebody's psyche. And again, I mean, there's a lot of fear. A lot of people are, afraid. They don't want to get their feelings hurt and opening their heart and being vulnerable. Okay. They don't want to repeat mistakes. They don't want to fail again. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into starting again, finding love again. But yes, when someone's been single for a really long time or never been married, you do wonder, is this person capable?
Mhm.
Are they just are they like so phobic that they won't get close, or if they can't get close, or they keep you at arm's distance?
I think that's a valid concern. I think, but it's one that should be settled rather quickly, though. Too. I mean, for somebody here, this is another good question. After that, we'll close. But what if I have been married more than once? Will they judge me? What judgment comes in there? We've never been married versus, yeah, I've got divorced several times. What's worse? Well, there's no answer, but
Yeah,
the question does come up.
yeah. Well, it depends on how you see how positively or negatively you view,
Mm-hmm.
right, that the person's history. So for me, I wasn't deterred by someone who was married a bunch of times, because that to me said, oh, you're able to be married. Right? That signaled to me, oh, he's not commitment phobic. He
Mm-hmm.
actually likes marriage. He actually wants to be with someone. He actually loves love.
Mm-hmm.
And
You just
and
can't make it work.
and I saw those as all very positive
Mm-hmm.
things, signs. Okay. So I mean, it was my choice. I didn't see it as being like, oh, this guy is a terrible partner. He's a failure, or no.
Well, in closing, then, should, if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, should you date someone, or with the thought of getting into a long-term relationship, if this person has never been married or is still single after 50?
Okay, so seeing as that we're having a dating crisis right now, and
Mm-hmm.
people are, this is just a shit show of a dating culture.
Mm-hmm.
I would really put aside all of your preconceived notions. And I mean, really open yourself up and be super open minded. Okay. Because no one's perfect. We're all flawed. We're all imperfect human beings. I think it is incumbent upon us all to be as accepting as possible of each other and of ourselves. And I mean, really accepting all of your stuff, all of your, neuroses and anxieties and things. Okay, that makes you you, and accept that in somebody else, particularly at this age. And I would watch. I'd be mindful of how much fear you're bringing to the dating process, because that can screw everything up if you're just afraid. And I'm going to say the word picky. Do not be picky. Do not, because picky to me says you are insecure about you and you've got some ridiculous expectations, which I hate. Expectations have no place. Temper the expectations, people, because that will set you up for complete disappointment.
Disappointment,
Right?
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I don't think anybody can afford to be super picky, and because this mentality, and I've said it before in other episodes about this sort of like endless options mentality. Well, I'm going to find someone even more better. I'm just one swipe away from finding someone more perfect. And no, you're really not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. So there is perfection in imperfection. I may not
Mm-hmm.
be perfect, but I'm perfect for you.
That I love that. Treva, on that, let's end this segment. A topic that, again, I don't know why we necessarily have to talk about it, but we do. It comes up so often. And thank you for all the input from someone who really knows what she's talking about. And if you need some help or just some guidance with what you're going through on the dating scene out there right now, give Treva a call. She's a fabulous coach. She's fun. You'll have a really good time
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh, it is going to be a ride. You just
Yeah, I wish I had you when I started out again. So check the show notes below. All of Treva's contact information is there, as well as the link to her book. Great summer read. Treva, thank you again, and I look forward to our next conversation on Second Act TV.
thanks everybody. Mwah.